Hello and welcome to the Two Bros Fashion Podcast, where we dissect the fashion of the stars.
That's
is
right.
Is there drip off the hook, or is it worth a second look?
I am qualified to talk about drip. I'm wearing pants and a hoodie that are the exact same color. And my shoes were also an off-white, creamy sort of color that I wore earlier today. So I think I'm qualified.
I do too. I'm currently sporting the fake vintage Star Wars.
Nice.
And I'm
better
less
than
of
real
a Star
vintage.
Wars fan than I used to be. And yesterday's sweatpants.
Nice. And that's why you get so much respect in the fashion industry. I think it's the
true.
moves like that.
Yes. Everyone's knocking down my door for that advice.
Yes, any advice really, but especially fashion.
Mm-hmm. Pro tip number 1, if you're going to be on a podcast, take a shower before.
Take a shower during.
Ooh. The Wet and Wild podcast?
Josh and Dave After Dark.
There you
go. No, we are kind of breaking up the way we do things around here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just talking about one specific book or thing that we read, we're just gonna talk. We're gonna hang out. I actually made a list, because I'm a nerd, of things from this past year that I really enjoyed, like media-wise, content-wise. And I'm down to talk about some of those, but I also want to pick your brain about the year, and I'm sure you've got your own thing.
That sounds good.
About,
yeah, we've had trouble just getting on the camera, so rather than having deadlines for what we're going to read, we're just going to talk. Let's see. I think the last one I did have you read was Tank Chair.
Tank Chair was sick.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
A little problematic at times.
Fair.
But can I give the premise?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, here's the premise. Dude is paralyzed. I think they use some not very sensitive terms about his mental state as well. He's paralyzed. He's pretty unresponsive, and his sister figures out that whenever he's at the most imminent threat, or the threat of actual death, he comes out of his coma or whatever he's in, and is able to fight like an assassin and everything. And his sister is trying to get her brother back. She's trying to keep him alive. And so she's trying to find the greatest threats imaginable, the best assassins in the world and everything, to try to kill her brother so that he'll come alive and then fight and then be there for a minute, and then he goes back into his coma or whatever.
The craziest therapy you've ever heard of.
Yes. It was so great. I loved it. I thought that the illustrations were really fun. It was some crisp line work, which I always enjoy. The colors were good. What I think stood out was just the bizarre style of the story, where it's just such a weird concept, and how far they leaned into it was really fun to me.
Yes.
I'm also I'm doubting myself now on if there's actually color in the book, or if that's just the covers.
The cover.
I'm gonna look that up. See if I made a fool out of myself. No, it's just on the covers. But the covers are fun. They're very striking. There's a lot of like neons and pinks and stuff, which I'm a big fan of.
Oh yeah. And author is Yashiro Manabu, as far as I can see. It felt like he had an idea, like he wanted a wheelchair assassin, and then made the story around that. But yeah, it's just a ride. One note, I think he was an assassin before he was maimed.
Okay.
And the idea was he was like the best up and coming assassin. And his sister was pretty weak, and it was in like protecting her that he got hurt. So
right.
more like, what do you call it? Reason for his sister to like really want to save him. She feels it's her fault and all that, and yeah, but kind of a crazy like 10 chapters.
Yeah, it was a quick read though. I'm such a huge fan of horror and body horror, and this definitely had a lot of that. I mean, I don't remember which chapter it was, but he wakes up and he's riding around in his chair, and the tires have spikes, and he like rolls over someone, and it just maims the villain. And it was the visuals in it are striking and really exciting and engaging. I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun. I think if you're looking for a fun, light read, I would definitely recommend Chair.
Yeah, like a dark shonen, like, yeah, it's fun.
Was fun. Great recommend, Dave.
Thank you.
I think that's my favorite one so far.
Nice. Yeah. A lot less like... there were definitely some problematic stuff, but a lot less to unpack in this one. It's more just... It's a bit gory. Maybe doesn't treat everything perfect, but it's a nice action piece.
Yeah, I didn't feel gross after reading it. I just felt like, oh, they probably could have approached disabilities a little more respectfully. Because I want to see a wheelchair assassin. Like, that's sick. But some of the way they talked about disability, like, that's problematic. Whoa. But it was great. I loved it. I think that's a very minor hurdle compared to some of the other things we've read. That's like, oh, why is that? There was none of that where I was like, there's nothing that I thought, oh, they crossed the line or they're trying too hard in something.
Kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite things of 2023?
My favorite things of 2023. Okay, so you were there when this happened. I believe you were there. Yeah. Regardless. I 100%ed Elden Ring.
Yes.
Last night.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I love that game so much. And that wasn't a game that came out in 2023, but 100%ing it is my greatest video game achievement. And I don't typically play hard games or long games. And I'm not a completionist gamer. I could care less if there's 10% on my game or 100%. But Elden Ring, it just caught me at the right moment. And I invested so much into it that was one of the things I wanted to do was 100% Elden Ring. And I did it. And most of that, so that playthrough, I did the 100% all on one of my characters. No New Game Plus or anything. Just one character, one play of the game. And I 100%ed it on that account. It was great. I was very happy with that. And there was a lot of hours that went into 2023 that I enjoyed. That was my favorite piece of media and gaming that I digested. But other favorites, I think my favorite movie that I watched in 2023 is it's a horror film. It's called When Evil Lurks. So here's the hook. I won't spoil. It is a possession movie that approaches possession like a zombie virus.
Interesting.
Yeah. So picture outbreak scenario behind lore of possession and demons inhabiting people, and it was so good. It was incredible. The story was super fun. There were like one or two plot points that I got a little hung up on and was like, that's stupid. But I really liked the idea of like the spread of this thing. And the lore building, or the lore and world building they did for it, was super simple and concise, and I think I knew everything I needed to know about this like alternate reality, or the myths of where this story is taking place. I think I knew everything I needed to know within 10 minutes of the movie starting, and they did it in such a seamless way where it made sense why they were talking about the things they were talking about. It didn't feel like a lore dump. I loved it. And then the violence in it was incredible. The shock and depictions that they had of death, I think, were really unique and engaging. It was something I hadn't seen before in movies, period. Some of the way they brought violence into the film. So I mean, as a body horror fan, I loved it.
Nice.
Okay, those are two things for me. Sorry.
Is it like a you're following like people trying to exorcise the possession, or is it following like they're just trying to survive?
It's both, but it's the same. It's really one guy and his family that you're following primarily. And it starts with what they lead into as this is a possessed person, and you don't know a whole lot about what that means, but they build in the lore of basically saying like, oh, you have to take care of it in these ways or you're opening everyone up to risk. And you watch as they do the wrong things again and again and again, and you watch as more and more people are exposed to whatever this is and the violence of it and the terror of it. And then you just watch this family try to figure out what to do, and they end up finding someone who can exercise this in the way the movie has them do it. And it's a whole thing, but it's great, and you follow the family kind of like it's a Fallout in a region as they're traveling or trying to get to safety or whatever, and it feels very zombie movie.
Ooh,
yeah,
cool.
It was a really fun mashup in my opinion.
It sounds creative. I may have to check it out.
It was so good. So those are two things for me. I've got more on my list, but I want to hear from Dave. Especially, I'm interested in favorite gaming experience, because I know you played. I think you played more different games than I did this year.
I definitely have some good. It's funny. As I've gotten older, I've gotten weird with games where there's some I find that I just dive into and play a lot, and but I'm pretty consistently brought back to like multiplayer games with people. I think that's one of my biggest draws right now. But yeah, it's interesting because I had high hopes for Starfield. I think that's one of the bigger ones where I was very ready to play it, and I think I enjoyed playing it a lot in the beginning. Like, I was into some of the story, and I think I listened to too much going into it from like people online, where like some people were saying, oh, it doesn't open up until you beat the main story first part, or like different aspects like that. And I was a little disappointed because when I go into Bethesda games, for me it's the exploration, getting to pick a point and just go find out what it is, because I complete missions, but quite often I'm like, what's that over there? I'm distracted and I want to go see it, and usually there is something there in Bethesda games, but just to try to get back to there, you have to suspend a lot of disbelief, I think, because you can't really do that on planets, even if they're like the main, like well fleshed out planets, and you can't really do it in space, so you'd have to kind of, if you can think of like traveling to a planet you haven't seen before as that like picking a point and going, you can kind of get there if you're thinking like, oh, I'm exploring space, but it's pretty barren, and the process of like traveling like that is not very. It's just a bunch of loading screens, so it doesn't really feel like you're actually getting to do it. So that was one of the ones this year that was like just didn't quite hit where I was hoping it would.
Yeah.
You've got me back in Elden Ring. I'm hoping I can actually finish it.
That's right.
Because I really do enjoy it too. I enjoy the boss battles, and that has that exploration itch.
It
Even
does.
playing it a second time.
I think
because
that's one of my favorite things about that game. And it doesn't I think in some ways feels kind of Bethesda-y in that at least the older Bethesda games I know, when you're doing open world and exploring, they have so much well-seeded like fake discovery where it's like you're going to come across this thing if you go this way.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think the biggest complaint you had with Starfield, or is it the loading screens?
I think that was my biggest complaint, because I think I've dealt with loading screens in other games and they can be annoying, but like Skyrim had some crazy loading screens if you decided to fast travel, but you could still kind of get anywhere you wanted just by running around. So yeah, I think it felt like they focused on only having the 1,000 planets and not, are these 1,000 planets worth visiting? Or like, is there a plan for them? Because they have main planets that have missions and things on them, but a lot of them are just like resource spots, and it's just nothing. Yeah. And there's not even random seeded story stuff as far as I can tell. Like there's random bases and things you can kind of go clear out that have like bandits, but it's still just not much.
I watched Video Game Donkey's video on it. How accurate would you say that it? Because in the video he just goes, oh, I'm gonna go to this planet, and he says, and then it's a loading screen, a loading screen, a loading screen, and he tells like 8 loading screens just to get from I adjusted something in my ship, and now I'm where I wanted to be on the planet. Is that? Well, I didn't know if that was accurate or an exaggeration. I didn't watch any gameplay.
He's exaggerating a little, I think, but you can definitely get sucked into. If you go from, I'm on this planet on the ground, like at one of my bases or in a city, and I want to go somewhere else. There's an expedient way where you can go into the map and click on that planet and go there. If I remember right, I think that just brings you to like the atmosphere, where you still have to pick a point on the planet and then another loading screen and you land. And then you have to transition out of your ship, which another frustration that I can get to in a second. But if you wanted to do it like in a more real way, where like in other games you might think, oh, I can either fast travel near my ship, or if I get on my ship and go, or run up to my ship and go, it would be either like loading screen to your ship's area.
Yep.
Either loading screen or cutscene kind of animation thing to get on your ship. You pick, I want to take off. You'd be in the atmosphere of that planet. You'd pick a planet you want to fast travel to, because you can't just fly in between stuff. You have to set like a star map and go. And then you're in that system, or you're on, basically every planet is divided by a loading screen. Every place on the planet to get like on a planet is divided by a loading screen, and getting in and off your ship basically has a loading screen. So there can be like 6 to just do anything.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and the getting off your ship, they have a button to just get off your ship, or you push a button and you get up out of your chair and you can go around inside your ship and then exit if you'd like to. It is such a long like animation to get up out of the chair, I'd bump it on accident and just, and like, am I gonna get back in the chair and then hit the button, or am I gonna run back to the back and click like the door to go out, and just frustrating.
Yeah. Do you think if it didn't have so much hype and overpromise, do you think you would have enjoyed it more? Or I guess what I should say is, was the hype and overpromise, would these things be an issue if they didn't say it was going to be something different? If the expectation was different, do you think people would have these complaints?
I think they still would. I think it would be a little bit easier on them if they were like, we're trying something new. We don't like, if they were maybe not humble about it, but just if they had a better representation of what it was going to be like, because they hyped up the things that they thought were the sellers. 1,000 planets, that we've got stories all over the place. You can build your own ship, which people love. Some of that stuff, like love the building ships and stuff like that. I had a point. Because I think I tried to keep an open mind, because I knew, like with 76, that there was possibility of them not meeting expectations. So I was trying to be like, okay, I don't know what this is going to be. I want to just play it.
Yep.
And I had some fun in it. I think it just, as I was playing, got stale. And I was trying to reach these markers that people said. Like some people said, oh, you have to play for like 12 hours, 20 hours, and then it's when it opens up and gets fun. Or the whole game opens up when you finish the main storyline. And I'm going to go into a spoiler thing, because I think it's worth
I love
saying it. So this is spoilers on Starfield. I'll put like a timestamp in the video for when you can come back after we're done with this. Do you care if I ruin it for you?
Not at all, no.
Okay. So the whole like pitch for the main storyline is there's these devices and things that you're finding around the universe. You're gaining powers, some like kind of sort of magical feeling powers. And then people start coming and attacking you, and they're like, hey, stop doing this. You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what all of this is about. And they're like the Starborn people, and you're like, what the heck are these aliens? What's going on? Another thing, no aliens in like the whole thing. So
it's a space game.
Kind of felt empty. Yeah. But it's realistic space game.
Doesn't that mean there'd be aliens?
Well, there's like alien fauna and flora, but no like sentient life. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But
Ooh.
So when you when you finish the game, you become Starborn. Like you reach the center of the universe, like enlightenment type thing. What that means though is you've entered New Game Plus. So the whole idea is that you are who you are, but in another universe, and you can play through the universe as many times as you want, I think, if you complete the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you still have your stats, but you lose all your stuff. And that doesn't feel more open to me.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like, okay, I put all this work into, like start my life, or my I thought that this was going to give me a better ship or better travel or better whatever. And you get a ship at the end of it and stuff, but it was like, well, now I don't really want to go restart those missions that I didn't finish. Like I didn't get into some of the main stories with like there's a pirate quest and some other things that I wanted to do, and I had started the quests, but I was like, oh, I'm going to go finish the game
and then come back,
the main quest, and come back and do it. And now it's like, now I have to go try to find the beginning of those quests again if I want to do them, and it just. Plus, I think I'd started trying to make a base on a planet to get resources, because that's one of the things that they kind of say is if you make a plant, like a base, and grow it enough, it'll start sending you money and resources and stuff. Annoying, because if you get to the planet and realize you don't have some of the resources you need to build a specific thing, you have to go through that whole teleportation process and loading screens to go somewhere to buy it.
Yep.
All the way back. And that was all gone because
Oh, that's a bummer. Ooh.
Yeah. So it just...
Yeah.
I get what they were going for, but I feel like if you're going to go with like multiple universes, it would be hard, but it would be so much more interesting to me if there was something drastically different in every universe every time you redid it. Like,
yeah,
if there was a different person in power, or, you know, a different group in power, or in this universe we found sentient life, you know, just... And I know that that's redesigning like the entire game again each time, but it just felt like there was more interesting stuff than New Game Plus, but it kind of makes sense because of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I may go back and try. I got a new graphics card and I'm kind of excited because I had to run it on kind of poopy settings, but I don't know if it's worth it. And I've been, as I'm sure people will roast me for, I've been leaving Baldur's Gate in the back wings because I didn't want to start two huge things at once. And that apparently a lot of people have enjoyed a lot, and just the little bit I've played has been fun. Do you have a different opinion on Baldur's Gate?
I do.
Shall we hear it, sir?
Okay. Let's keep our pants on.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much my opinion. It's fine. It's great. It's a really good game. I think the promise of the game is met and executed so well. It is huge. You can tackle problems in any way. There is so much creativity that game gives you. The interactions you can have they vary so extremely. Like you can do an evil playthrough that is evil, and you can do a good playthrough where you're straight up a pacifist. Like, it's incredible what they did. I think some of it is a little too clunky for me, in the sense of like, I don't like that type of game. It's part of the problem. And the hype behind
the mechanics?
Like how you play? I'm kind of like, just let me play D&D. Especially if it's going to take so long, and like I'm going to actually watch the dice roll and all those things. I'm just kind of like, just give me a number and go sometimes. Like sometimes it's just a little too much. And then other things that... So first of all, and that being a complaint is about the type of game. It's just not for me. But I had so many friends that were like, play it. Like, you're going to love it anyway. And there were parts I did really enjoy. But it's not my type of game. And I think so many people were captivated by the game that they think anyone will like it, regardless of the type of game, because they're like, well, there's something for everyone. It's like, sure, but also it isn't for everyone, and that's okay. It wasn't made, and I love D&D. That's on my list, is D&D, right? But so there's that.
I think that makes sense. Even if they do run turn-based really well, if you don't like turn-based, it's hard. And you like turn-based in person.
Yes.
But not, well, seeing as you are a board game man,
I am.
You very much like turn-based in person.
I love turn-based in person. I don't like it on the computer. So there's that, and then I think there are a lot of things about the game and its quality that it is a very high quality game. But I think if it wasn't so impressive in terms of open world and what you're able to do and all of that side of things, I think people are willing to overlook other things, like the facial animations are just not great. And that's a silly thing to like get caught up on. I'm not saying like don't play the game because the facial animations suck. I'm more saying it got all of this hype, and I think people are willing and able to pick and choose things they don't care about in that game because it offers so much and it executed so well on its promises. And it said, we're going to give you an experience you want. It's tailored toward you. You define what you want that experience to be. And they did that. And I think that's really impressive. I was not rooting for it to win Game of the Year. But I think that is probably just because I think it was overhyped once it came out by people. In hindsight, I think it deserved Game of the Year.
I was going to say, is there one that you think deserved it more, is the question.
So, I know at the time that there was, and I'm blanking on what it is right now.
What came out this past year?
I don't even remember what I was like, that should have won. Because there was something that I was like, they got robbed. Game of the Year contenders.
2020.
I'm going to look this up because that's how bad my memory is. Let's see. We had Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Oh, that was it. Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The Doy.
Oh.
I thought Tears of the Kingdom should have won Game of the Year. I have never seen a game that takes a core idea, concept, structure, and in my opinion, takes it as close to perfection as you can. I'm as guilty as anybody that's a fan of Baldur's Gate. I'm also willing to overlook things with Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not saying it is actually a perfect game, but to me, I was so impressed with what they took away from Breath of the Wild and how they turned it into something, in my opinion, so much better. That I was so impressed. I loved it. The exploration was so fun, super engaging for me. I enjoyed the story. I thought they gave me so much in terms of play style and options. I do think some of the new mechanics, like the build mechanics and stuff, did kind of make some puzzles useless and pointless. So my biggest complaint with that game is that you have to hold yourself back to engage some of the puzzles.
Okay.
Because sometimes there are puzzles where they have a structure to them.
And you could just throw a rocket on something and be done, or type
I
of thing.
could.
Like,
and it's like I could just build a bridge and walk over the puzzle. When the puzzle is like, hey, how would you mash these pieces together while lighting that on fire and you're standing on ice? Like, just it's a Zelda puzzle. It's something, throw a rock in a pond, but there's no, it's a Zelda puzzle. And I think so much of what they gave us with the building mechanics, it kind of removed some of that magic from the puzzles, because I felt like there was always a solution that I could find that was quicker than just trying to figure out what this puzzle actually intends itself to be solved, how it should be solved. Not saying there's one way to solve a puzzle, but I think some of that magic that they had in Breath of the Wild, they kind of lost in Tears of the Kingdom. But aside from that, is my biggest complaint. That's really my main complaint with Tears of the Kingdom. I loved that game. I think it was excellent. I think the combat improved drastically from Breath of the Wild. Discovery is improved from Breath of the Wild. Bosses are improved from Breath of the Wild. So good.
That's one of the first times I think I've... And it sounds dumb, but like... They geared the powers and the traversal and stuff like that in such a way where... Like, games where they give you, like, here's all the handholds to climb this rock face, but that's the only place that you can climb this rock. Like, that's a simple version, but that included with like, there's times games will give you a power, like, oh, you can teleport or not, you can like phase through walls, but it's only the like green colored walls in these specific places.
Yeah.
And just the fact that anytime you were underground and then there was a ceiling somewhat close to you, you could hit the button and, you know, be on the surface. And that was amazing.
That was so good. In my opinion, that was the best new ability of the game. Better than building. Because I also have my complaint with building, which I already expressed. It made it so that traversal was quicker and easier. But if I wanted to climb a rock face, I could. And they still did such good design of the world that they had a lot of areas in traversal that would require you to climb or kind of figure out a strategy of like, how am I going to get where I want to get? And maybe it's more than just I'm climbing up the rock face. Maybe it's I'm climbing a little bit, I jump through this floor, and then I can build a little plane and get over.
Mm-hmm.
That was excellent. But being able to zip up from tunnels and all of that, it really was game changing. And when it showed in the trailer, when they first showed that mechanic, I was like, that looks kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That and the rewind one, I was like, that's kind of stupid. And I loved them, man.
Mm-hmm. And another, for me, in contrast to Starfield, is, hey, if you want to get out of this cave, you can, you know, you can swim through the rock and get out of it.
Yeah.
And rather than always loading screen, teleporting back to ships and stuff like that, rather than either giving you a vehicle or giving you new science-y tech to help you traverse, to let you actually fly your ship rather than just orbiting, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't beaten Tears of the Kingdom either.
So I will say that's probably another complaint with Tears of the Kingdom. I don't want it to be over in terms of the bosses, but there's still so much going on in the world that I kind of don't know what direction to look. I think they did such a good job of seeding fun activities and things to do throughout the world. But with such few clear story points and blips along that path, it just kind of feels a little directionless when you're wrapping up or like in endgame and deciding, you know, when do I go and vanquish Ganon? Because there's just so much going on. And it all feels the same priority, which I think they could have. I think they could have done a better job at adding more urgency to certain things that aren't major plot, you know, devices, and kind of a wider variant of, you know, how significant is this little thing you're going to do.
Do you think it would lose any of the I can explore anywhere I want to go and whenever I want to go? Like, do you think it would lose any of that kind of freedom if they changed it that way?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
I know what you mean. It's like you've kind of got like the end of the game. You know, beat Ganon. He's the overarching bad thing. But then almost everything else is just kind of like, there's the low quests, like I don't really care if all of the little Deku guys get to where they're planning to go.
Yeah.
But like any cities or anything else, like they have some problems, but there's not much incentive beyond experience this thing that's ready for you to experience.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know.
But I love it. That was, for me, that is what should have won Game of the Year. But I also, Baldur's Gate is not a game for me. That's not a style of game I'm a big fan of. I need to give it another try because I think when I first played it, all I had heard was the hype behind it, and I went in with a expectation that it would be something a little different than what I actually came across. Or that's not even totally true. I think I just went in being like, I will love this, and then I just didn't, and so I got sour.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought because I've had this. I used to love going to like GameStop and places like that and just looking at like what the new games were when I was pretty little. And you'd every once in a while buy a dud, but usually you'd have a fun experience with a game you bought. I can't really do that for like I'm mainly playing on computer, so they don't really have computer stuff beyond if you want to buy currency for Fortnite or something. And I do enjoy watching trailers and starting to try to get like hyped for something when it's coming out. But I don't take risks buying a game that I'm not sure about unless it's like an indie game. Because there used to be that like mid-tier game, not AAA, AA, whatever. And it may have had some problems, but like I play it a lot when I was younger.
Yep.
And there's something missing there or something. I don't know.
I agree. I do agree.
Because I think the hype thing is rough because I think it's pretty rare that a game actually reaches whatever it is.
Yeah. And I feel like the hype is just getting so much more extreme with all these new games coming out. Mm-hmm. There's always such a, I don't know. The internet's so loud.
Yes. It feels like there's so many that there's fewer big games is what it feels like. And so there's a lot of like hope and anticipation put on all of those single specific things, and I don't know, it just is so rare for them to actually meet it, but if they do, there's a ton of money for everybody involved. So I don't know.
I'm definitely on the hype train though for the Elden Ring DLC. I am overhyping it. I am going to be disappointed if I keep going in this trajectory. I was so angry when we didn't get a date for when the DLC will come out during the Game Awards. Mm-hmm. I was like, they gotta give us a date. They already announced it. We're right around the corner from the anniversary. I was like so convinced. And they gave us nothing. I was so. I mean, that game could be 9 out of 10. That expansion could be 9 out of 10. And if it's not 10 out of 10, I will be disappointed. I'm too hyped for it. I know I am too hyped for it.
I think it'll probably pan out well because they don't tend to like people have liked just about every game that they've come out with. I don't know, have they had DLC before?
Yeah.
For past games? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the gameplay's still going to be there for you. Like, the bosses I think are going to be good because they're so almost always have good ones. I think it's just going to be whether or not you appreciate the story they create.
Yeah. Find out. Yeah. Speaking of story they create, that's a good segue into one of my things I wanted to talk about.
Segue.
D&D. I'm playing with the same group it's evolved, but it is the two of us are the same. Everybody else has changed over in one way or another, but it's 5 or 6 of us now playing in this group. We've been playing for years. Played all through COVID, played before COVID, and I picked up DMing again. I took a one-shot hiatus. I asked my friend, who's a much better DM than me. I said, Steve, can you just DM for one session I'm just a little burnt out. I need a little break from coming up with these stories every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And he did a one shot that was so freaking good that we all were like, well, we don't want to leave now. So we lived in his world for 3 years.
Oh,
a little
nice.
over 3 years. About 3 years. And then we hit like a midway point for his campaign. We fought the devil actually, which was really cool. Yeah, it was sick. We kind of fought the devil. And he did that, and then he was like, okay, my turn to take a little break. Josh, run a one shot. So now I think we'll be in this one for a few years, but I made this. This is the thing I am. My greatest art endeavor of 2023 is the map
cool.
that I created for the world.
That's super cool.
It has been so fun to discover this world and kind of figure out how to give it life and a story that just beats through everything that's happening. And the guys I'm playing with we are having so much fun, and I have really enjoyed spending time with people doing that. I think this upcoming year, I am just so thankful to have people that want to play D&D and play it regularly. And to be DMing is very fun. So I'm so excited about that. It was a highlight from 23, and it is something I'm looking forward to for 24.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you draw the map, or did you do it on computer? Or?
I drew that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Took a long time.
I bet. There's a lot of detail.
I was like, oh, you know what I should do? I should use a light colored marker to shade all the trees.
Ooh, fun.
I thought of that, and then I, like 2 hours into shading trees, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. And then I was like, oh, you know what would be cool? For the water to have little lines that go all the way across the water.
Oh, no.
I think it took me 6 hours. It was a day of work to put lines across this dang page. So I'll never do that again for a map, but I love it. I like how it turned out.
Yeah. And when you're done, you should like frame it.
Yeah, we've already. Yeah, I think I want to make a shadow box for this campaign when it's done.
That'd be cool.
I'd like to actually find artifacts for each character that they can have and hold when we're playing to help bring that into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I miss it. I need to get into a group again.
Move up here.
That would be fun.
It's that easy.
We'd have our own podcast studio.
We would.
You know.
Yeah. The whole house. We'll move out. The house will be a podcast studio.
Hire people to just walk and camera us while we're talking.
Yes, exactly. We have that type of budget.
It's true. Trying to think of what else. 23. I've only played it like once, but I really enjoyed Lethal Company. Just it's not often you get like mystery in games, and kind of that like, so the fact that when your friends die, their comms are cut out is crazy. And just like, I think I had a moment when like just about everybody died, or there was a couple people still like at the ship, and I need to get back with like loot. I got lost because it gets darker and you just can't see.
Yeah.
And that feeling of like, I'm lost, I don't know where anything is, I can't talk to anybody about it, I'm starting to hear like the beasts in the distance. There aren't many things that give you that anymore. Like, I don't know. It's just funny and fun.
I wanted to be able to play that game so badly. I get terribly motion sick. when
Yeah.
playing some games. I don't know why. It's been that way since I was a kid. I've gotten better too. I used to not be able to play like racing games and stuff. I tried to play Lethal Company. It was you, me, Micah, Ben, I think. I'll dox them all. I'll put their address in the comments and then their mother's maiden names too. We were playing and I was like, oh, I'm feeling kind of sick, and I was like trying to hang on so bad, and I kept playing. I think I played 10 minutes. I was like, gotta go. Got off. I threw up. I went to the bathroom and I threw up. I don't know why, and it makes me so sad because I want to play that game.
I feel like is it usually first person is one of the bigger kicks?
First person usually gets me.
Okay.
Even when I turn off like the head bobble, and sometimes I drop the graphics down. I used to, and I did this for Lethal Company. I make it so that it's not the whole screen. It's just like a small box in my screen, the game. And so the background is just the background of my computer. But, man, that one really got me for whatever reason.
Weird.
Yeah. Okay, it's not Lethal Company, but another one I did. I did this with Kai. We played a game called Don't Scream. And it had such a fun hook. You had to turn your mic on. It's a horror game. And if you scream or if you make a noise too loud, you die. That's what ends the run. Oh. And it's very Slender Man and the 7 pages or whatever.
Jump scary. You got things following after you.
Yep. After like 2 minutes, it gets more intense and all of that. The game I've played 100 times because there was really nothing special or unique about like the story or the gameplay, except for having the mic on and having the gimmick of like if you make a noise too loud, that's what caused you to lose. I thought that was really fun and really cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
It adds something because there's a novelness to having to try to control something that you don't normally have to when you're playing a game.
Yeah.
It's like I've only played a little bit of VR, but that is so fun just because it's so different. And yeah. I don't know if I could play it. I don't know. I feel like I'm not good with horror games because I don't know if I even count Lethal Company as being that horror-y. It's got a little bit of it, but
yeah. It at the very least has those elements built in. I would say it is. I think there's levels to everything like that.
That's true.
Yeah. I would not exclude it from the genre.
But I'm really hit or miss. We've played a lot of League this year.
Yeah. We did.
It comes and goes with a group. Not playing Conan. It seems fun. I'm so bad at completing games, and especially games when I have to put in grind if I'm not just automatically into it.
Yep.
So my experience with Conan has just generally been hopping into the world, running for like an hour to get somewhere, and then dying after going back.
Yep. Yeah, Conan also made me sick, but I had a similar experience when I played. I'm gonna drop into this world, run for 10 minutes in a direction, and then die naked, and go back where I was and try to just do it again and again and again. Yeah. I'm bad at games. So I think games like that where there is a steeper curve to not just like the mechanics are fine, but then knowing like what's the grind look like? How do I plan for these different things happening? What happens if you get invaded? There is this like deeper strategy and knowledge behind the game that I don't want to invest in. I don't want to have on my second monitor like strategies for Conan or like do this for Conan. I want to approach it the way I approach Minecraft, which is just dig a hole and keep digging. That's what I'm good at.
Man, can Josh dig a hole?
This guy can dig a hole. Do you remember, not the last Minecraft server, but the one before that, how long it took to get end to end in my tunnel?
It wasn't it like 40 minutes or something.
It was over 40. It was like 42 minutes while running.
Yep.
And Chelsea put a cart through it, and it didn't go the whole way because I think we'd have to burn a forest to get that much wood. Mm-hmm. With as much rail as she had, it was like 28 or 30 minutes. You'd ride through and then you'd run the rest of the way. But I love that.
Uber.
I love it.
You got to do a mine next time that's like a flat square. Like you get to the depth you want to go, and then just do like a warehouse continually expanding.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. That would be fun. I should do that.
Because then it won't take long to get there.
It won't. You'll just be there immediately.
That's right. And scared. And I think that if you do it that way, monsters spawn if you don't have... I don't know if it has to do with torches, but yeah, you might have monsters too.
I'm certain I would have monsters. I'm realizing I'm also making the audio probably so annoying because I go from being like 2 inches away from my mic to like 3 feet away from my mic. So I'm going to apologize for that now, Dave.
It hasn't been too crazy, at least from what I can hear. We'll see.
Good. Maybe I should just start screaming instead. What?
That's probably a fair thought.
Dave, I think your camera's going to die.
It might be dying.
I mean, it's blinking low battery. Do we want to put a cap on this and then do another like short segment here? Because I could keep going.
I can talk a little bit, but maybe it is a sign. I don't know. Let me see if this battery has battery. Yeah, we had an interesting time getting this episode started because my computer wouldn't turn on at all. What the heck's going on? And still nothing. And then full battery, nice.
Yeah, it turns out it just wasn't plugged in.
That's not true. I'm a tech guy, so I take offense at that.
Can you imagine if it just wasn't plugged in and that's why you're having trouble?
I have had stupid things like that before. It's never fun. Oh, I can tell you. I was installing this new graphics card, which I was very excited about. And first off, I didn't know... I thought I measured because I was like, oh, this thing sounds like it's going to be bigger than my old one. So I looked at how long my old one was and then looked at the measurement and was like, that's only like a few inches longer than what I've got. I should be fine. I couldn't fit it in my case. I had to like turn it, get it into the case, turn it back, and then like maneuver it through stuff. And then I had to like launch it down onto the motherboard because there was some stuff kind of in the way below it. So finally got all that, and I went from NVIDIA to AMD. I was switching companies. I should have stripped the drivers and gotten AMD drivers before I did it, but I was doing a trade-in thing with a Newegg, so I had to send my old graphics card in, so I couldn't actually do anything on my computer until I put the new graphics card in. Getting no picture, no nothing. Like it turns on, everything like that, getting nothing. I then... What all did I do? I tried a number of different things, and if you're someone who writes into like Reddit or tech related things, you don't need to tell someone they should have done it a different way if they've already done it and they're trying to solve that problem. Because a number of times I was reading comments and saw no helpful stuff, and it was just like, oh, you should have done this first. It's like, yeah, but we're here now. It's not solving my problem. And finally, in like some random thing, like 5 comments down, they were like, just spam the reset button on your tower. And somehow I got picture doing that. So I got in and changed my drivers out. And then I plugged everything back into my setup and started it. No picture. What the heck is going on? Because I was getting it with one cable. HDMI was kind of working. And you were saying, did he have the power cord in earlier? Basically, I had plugged one of my DisplayPort cables from my monitor to my other monitor, and the other cable from my graphics card to my graphics card, doing nothing. So when I plugged all those in right, it worked fine, but that was like a 3-hour process.
But you made it. You're on the other side, a better man because of it.
It's true.
You probably wish it would happen again. That's how much it improved your life.
Yes.
Through trials and tribulations.
Getting started today was crazy because all of my stuff was not working for some reason.
And I texted Dave. I was very helpful. I said, turn it on and off again. Mm-hmm. When the issue was it won't turn on, and I said, turn it on and off again. Mm-hmm. I'm a comedian.
That and Alt F4 are Josh's favorite computer-related advice.
I love Alt F4. That joke will never die. I said it on Christmas Day to my mother. She was like, how do I... No. And it was something... She was like in the kitchen or something. She was like, how do I get the crock pot lid to open? And I was like, hold down Alt F4. And she's like, what are you saying? I was like, listen, lady. That's another go-to joke. Is saying, listen, lady.
Yeah.
That one kills. That one, it's a crowd pleaser. Everyone loves it.
So I've heard.
Yeah. Okay, I got another 2023 question for you here.
Okay.
Do you use Spotify?
Some. I've kind of switched to YouTube Music because I have the subscription to use YouTube ad-free.
Did you get a Spotify Wrapped?
Of like your year in review?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Not really. He's scared. Let the record show. Dave is scared. He's scared. It's probably all Taylor Swift. That's actually not anything to be scared of. Well, she rocks.
My wife and I share our YouTube thing.
Yeah, there it is.
And we haven't done Spotify in a while. But
I got mine, and I was for the most part pleased with it. But
yeah,
I love getting my Wrapped. I look forward to that all year long. And then the last like 3 weeks leading up to Wrapped, it's like crunch time for finals. I'm listening to my favorite songs. You know, I'm putting them on repeat while I'm working.
You goober. Is it? It's a year in review of like your favorite stuff and what you listen to.
Yeah, so it'll be like, hey, did you know you're the top, 0.5% of listeners of this artist and stuff? And then if it's a popular artist, they'll like record a video and be like, hey, Samantha, thanks for checking out our music. We love you. And then if it's artists I listen to, there's just like a picture of the band and they're like, hey. But so it'll walk you through like what genres did you listen to? What were your favorite albums of the year? And then it gives you playlists from those things. So like I've got the top 100 songs that I listened to during 2023. And dare I say, it's got some of my favorite songs on there. It's great. Awesome. I love this playlist. It starts with the Cleansing by August Burns Red. That song's a banger. Then it's got Gorilla by Lil Sims. Then it's got Counting Worms by Knocked Loose. It's great. It's really great. Bothered by Jur. Okay, I've got a story about Jur.
Yes.
I did a TikTok video the other day where I was like, hey, if you have never listened to Jur, go listen to them. They do ska, and it's incredible. if you want to scratch that Five Iron Frenzy, like if you grew up listening to Five Iron Frenzy and it was your music, or you would just turn it on while studying or whatever, check out Jur. And they liked my video. I've got like 100 views on the video because I'm just Josh putting it into the ether, and they actually liked the video.
That's
wow,
awesome.
That's crazy.
My star knows me.
Yeah, exactly.
They know I exist.
He basically gave me a hug.
That's right.
They them basically gave me a hug.
When they're playing trumpet and trombone, it is for you now.
It is. Yes. They'll think of me when they play trumpet. They're like, this is for that one dork on TikTok. I had another band interaction when I went to see Knocked Loose in Boston, which so good. It was so good. We kind of were walking around Boston before the concert, and what do you know? It's just the lead singer of Knocked Loose, just like standing there on the side of the road. And I was like, "Yo, Knocked Loose, we love you." And he was like, "We love you too." And I was like, "Oh,
that's awesome."
Yeah, it was great. It was great. They were so cool.
You sound cool now, but you're probably like, "Knocked Loose, you're my favorite."
That's probably exactly what I sounded like. I was crying. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, Josh, because your ability to find new music is astounding to me. Because for some reason, like, I don't know if it's because I try using YouTube, but it just recommends like the same stuff. And I listen to the same stuff. And I miss the days of finding the new artist, the new song.
I'm going to send you some stuff.
Let's do it.
There was a point in time. There have been lots of points in time, actually. There was a point in time where I had listened to every NPR Tiny Desk that they had ever put on their YouTube channel.
Those are fun. Yeah. Such a neat, like, venue, however you put it.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing people that wouldn't normally, I don't know, just very out of their element. At least it looks like that.
Yeah. Watching, that's when I was like, that's where I learned T-Pain can actually sing. That dude is so for cool. Real talented.
I watched him do some of his like intros for his Twitch.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then he's been doing like covers, and I think I saw a video where he had like a show where he was just doing covers of songs. I was like, that's so fun.
He seems like such a fun, cool guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. And his streams are just very entertaining. Watching him play games with people is great. Watching him talk crap on people is great. I love it.
This new world is fun, where people can just put themselves out there. Because you'd never see a show like that like 20 years ago.
No. So. Back in my day. Okay. We were, over Christmas, we were talking with some of our nieces about movies and stuff. And Chelsea was trying to explain to them. And like 13 and 11 or something, right? She was explaining to them, no, when we wanted to watch a movie, we had to go to a store and rent it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, why didn't you just get it online? It's like, no. That wasn't the thing it is. That is not how you access movies. And then she was like, have you heard of dial-up? And they're like, no. And she's like, well, let's start with dial-up. And she's like trying to explain dial-up. I was trying to explain floppy disks. It was, yeah. I was like, have you seen the save icon? And they're like, yeah. I was like, that's a floppy disk. That's what they look like.
It's so crazy trying to, because they have no concept of like, if you don't understand computers and kind of how that stuff's developed, or like how the back end of it works, mm-hmm. it seems obvious, like, oh, why wouldn't you just do it this way that it always has been? And I'm not explaining it well, but it's just insane where we've come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my point. That's it. That's all.
I am so hyped to see what new technologies and advancements we have, because I don't see it slowing down. I think we're going to continue ramping up like this.
I don't know, because if you look at, we had the boom with internet and like what can be used there, and the infrastructure is getting big enough that you can like stream and download just about anything, and we're kind of getting to that point. It's like, it feels like in some of those realms a lot has been fleshed out, and I don't know what will be next, because I can see there being a possibility with some of the VR, AR stuff if it really takes off. I don't know if it's ready yet, because it's like the metaverse, the world that was offered is not worth while.
Yeah, no.
And even AI, like, I think it's cool that we're getting better simulations and like stuff like that, but like, I don't think it's gonna get sentient or whatever. I think you'll get to the point where there's very good problem solving and question skills and things like that.
Yep.
But I can't picture what the next big thing is going to be, because it feels like we're reaching the tail end of like the huge innovation boom of like the internet and the digital age. And I don't know, does it, because I don't know, Josh.
I don't know either, but I think AI is a big indicator. Seeing that become monetized in the way it has over the past like 2 years, that was so freaking fast. Mm-hmm. With technology that 3 years ago, AI, the advancements in accessible to you and me AI is totally different than it was 3 years ago. It is a fully new thing that is accessible by anyone. I mean, some of it you're going to have to drop some money for, but we could realistically pay for integrated AI into different things today. We can use ChatGPT today. Mm-hmm. And I think now that there's so much money behind it and it's a practical business solution for different challenges, I don't see that slowing down. I think that is going to become so much more fleshed out. And I also think that will drive there's so much continued innovation that I think is happening. Another area I think we're going to see a huge advancement in is cars. The promise of self-driving cars has been in our minds and just something that people have been anticipating for a decade. And we have parts of it. You know, if you're out in LA, you'll see self-driving Ubers and you'll see these things. I don't know if they're Uber, whatever the brand is that's doing that. Tesla has, somewhat automated self-driving cars. I think some of those were rushed to market in a way that's more of proof of concept. I think Tesla's a good example of that. It's not great. It can parallel park like a beast, but the rest of it, there's lots of complaints, and I think it's not where it needs to be. But I do think we're going to see something like that very soon. I think it's going to become more affordable, and it's going to be the thing. I think in 7 years, we will see that amongst like most car manufacturers will just be like, yeah, and it comes with self-driving.
I think that's a decent take, and I think that's a good call on the AI stuff being the new spot for innovation. It'll be interesting. I don't know how I feel about self-driving. Like, there's a part of me that, like, I think I'll do a good job at being, like, attentive and in control, but I say that, and then I'll be the guy, like, watching something on my phone while it's driving. So we'll see. It's funny because there's a part of me that doesn't feel like you can't trust it to like not fail, but it's like that's what people thought when you first started driving cars in the first place, I'm sure.
Yep.
Like, how can you trust something that's going to take you up to that mile an hour to be safe? And we figured it out for the most part. Yeah. The AI thing's crazy.
It is. Okay, I've got one last thing I want to show off here. Okay, these are three of my favorite comic pickups of the year. First, we have Haunted Thrills.
No,
I love this cover.
Time.
I think it's beautiful. Mirror of Madness. It's a weird trend that happened in the horror imagery to have mirrors and reflections that are, the possession comes out of the mirror, or the zombie comes out of the mirror, or And I got another cover that also has something very similar to that side of things. Spook, suspense, and mystery.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not a mirror cover; it's a painting, but same idea, same concept. I love it. One of my favorite covers right here.
That's very cool,
isn't it? And then my favorite pickup from 2023, Black Cat 32. It's just an iconic cover. Dude breaking out there. I love it.
That's
beautiful.
Interesting. He looks awkward.
Yes, for sure. I said 32. That's 52. I can read. Yeah. So those are three of my favorite pickups from the year. Nice. I didn't put any new issues on the favorite pickup because I couldn't find where I put my favorite comics of the year that I got this year.
Josh, no.
I know. I need to reorganize all of my comics. It's bad. It's bad.
Maybe that'll be a stream. We'll stream. I've thought about it. We should play games at some point. I feel like that'd be fun.
I think that would be fun. And I would love to just stream on Twitch while I'm sorting my comics and putting them in the database. But I don't know. I don't think people would think it's interesting like I do, but maybe. Even if there was just 3 people that were in chat talking.
I think you could do it well, especially if you were talking through and explaining some of what you were looking at and not just, silently stacking.
Yeah.
But nice.
Yeah.
Goals for 24. I have my easy one where I want to be consistent at the gym. But I have a 3D printer that I've barely used that I want to actually get using more. I want to beat Elden Ring. I think that's the main gaming one. There's games I want to play and stuff, but I've hit a phase with manga where I just enjoy finding a random fantasy, or I'm a sucker for some of the romance ones too, but any of those, and just binging it till it's done. Because I go in phases where I'll re-up and read the really popular ones all the way to where they are up to.
Yep.
And then I'll leave them sit for like a year or two to try to let them get more stuff to read.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I've got a few goals. One of mine was to in all areas of life, do not anticipate a response. I think I do a bad job of anticipating what people are going to say and kind of assuming words into their mouth, which makes it hard to hear what people are actually trying to communicate to me. So I don't think I'm a great listener a lot of the time. So that's one of the things I really want to work on is don't anticipate someone's response, even if they say exactly what I go, oh, I thought they were going to say that. Just let people say what they're going to say, because oftentimes I am totally wrong and off base in the assumptions I make that other people are thinking or going to say. So that's like my big one. And that's like all areas of life. I think that applies for me. Yeah. Another one is I want to use and spend the celebrations that I have. So, like, I collect bourbons and whiskeys, and I have, like, celebration bottles. That's like, oh, this will sit on my shelf until a special occasion. I don't want to... If I invest in something that I go, this is for joy or for community or whatever. Not like, I mean, my comic books, I put them out, I show them to people, I talk about them. I already do it with comic books in that sense. But these bourbons and whiskeys, I don't want to just...
leave them on a shelf forever.
Yeah, I want to... Yeah. I don't want to, in 4 years, be like, I forgot about that celebration bottle. I want to just celebrate with my friends. I want my occasion to be... I'm with friends. We're spending time together. Let's enjoy it in whatever ways we can. So that's another one. And then I want to get better. Excuse me. At like enjoying food, not just eating food. But I think more purposeful eating is something I'm already trying to do. Chelsea is helping a lot with that. In just like I'm not overindulging as much, and I'm being more purposeful with breakfasts and all of that. But now also like being purposeful in what I am eating and how I eat it. I want to enjoy what I eat. I think there's a lot of joy in food. I think there's something spiritual about food and drink that I want to enjoy more. And I think I just I eat to eat. And I love it, but I don't know why I love it or what I like. I want to know what my food taste is, and I just never really thought about that. So,
Those are some good goals. That's an interesting one at the end there. Like, I find myself going too fast, and I've tried to slow down a little bit because it's like you like good food, but you're just shoveling it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool beans.
Very cool beans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're hoping to do this a little bit more, and maybe in this format, more not always on a specific like comic or manga, but just trying to get on more and talk more. So yeah, thanks for watching. Happy 2024. Superhero Shonen Punch.
Superhero Shonen Punch, where the heroes punch you.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye.